Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my reading of the Fates. I almost said Stay Night. No. This is pre-Stay Night. Fate Prototype Fragments of Sky Silver, Volume 2. Now, as a reminder, for some reason, this volume lacks chapters, so we're just kind of freeballing it for where we go. That said, this felt like the end of a chapter. We got to see our main character. She's grown up again, I think, which is a bit strange. But we're here with, there's Ryder, right? And we're learning about the King of Kings tramples on. That's the first time I've heard him called the King of Kings. That's interesting. Because we have the King of Heroes, we have the King of Conquerors, we have the King of Knights. Is he the King of Kings? That's new. Okay, well, let's go. A light, shining, red hot. One wouldn't see it in the middle of the night, but it resembles the light of the sun. A torrent of light that seems to burn through the dark sky. The glare was so violent, the moonlight became hazy. The golden magical light from the ship, soaring in the distant high altitude, rained down one by one onto the black forest, swallowing the red-eyed monster which was its target with every tree in the surrounding area. It does not stop. It does not stop. The light falls so many times, a light that explodes while bringing destruction with it. Ha ha! Yes, look up at the sky, grovel on the ground, prostrate yourselves. If the King of Kings descends, then show me proper respect. For you see, the only time when you bastards witness my light is when you fade away from this world. He stands at the bow of his ship, which conquers the sky. He spreads both his arms out in exaggeration. From a great height, the man looks down at everything. As he continuously projects the same heat, death, and brilliance as the sun, intermittently towards the ground, he says, "Ha ha! Flee, run, jump, struggle to the best of your ability, scream, shout. Sooner or later, all three of you bastards are destined to burn by my light and disappear." It was not only the grotesque mad beast that was set as the target of the extremely fierce rain of light, but the other servants who were fighting in Reiroukan's black forest. Oh, okay. The loud laughter continues. No one can stop him. Can anyone stop him? No, he will not stop. There is no way to stop him. That is burning pen meme, holy crap. Even a heroic spirit with a brave legend cannot hope to match him. Who can stop the terrifying Urias? Urias? Am I stupid? What the frick does that mean? Search Google for Urias. Oh, the Urias is an ancient Egyptian symbol of royalty. It's the cobra. Oh, wow. Shoot. That's pretty cool. Sounds good. Who can stop the terrifying Urias who grows from the fearful sun, the flash of light which strikes with a clear intention to massacre, rather than the warm light which brings abundance to the earth? The black forest is being overrun. The coniferous forest of the Reiroukan estate, the monster that is in the middle of it, can be flooded even without the means to create the death rays. Although the strange-looking beast tries to stand up to the light with its amazing vitality. Oh, that's the berserker noise I can do. I don't know who this berserker is. All we know is that it is some beast. That's it. Like, I can't believe I still don't know what it is. A howl. The vibrations that should have shaken the forest, however, are swallowed by more light. The raging monster, Berserker's body, is collapsing. No matter how terrifying its strength-concealed limbs are, there is no point to it if they are crushed, burned, and made to disappear by the light. He will just crumble. He has no means of recovery. The master, who should be aiding and supporting the actions of the servant in this situation, has already been killed. Oh! A young man who challenged the Holy Grail War with very little sense of duty, with pitiful no knowledge of magic or decent mysteries, had just a short while ago been embraced and received a kiss from an assassin who sneaked up on him in orders from her master and dropped out of the Holy Grail War. Not gonna lie, that's a good way to go. In the middle of dying, where his entire life and consciousness were disintegrating in sweet-melting poison, the youth reflected in a corner of his mind on the well-being of Berserker, who nodded at his goals, but in less than 2 seconds, all of his brain and nerves were engulfed by a huge muddy stream of pleasure, and he died again. Not a bad way to go. You know what? If I had to go, that's one way that'd be fine, right? Therefore, this mad beast had no chance of winning. Even if they left him alone, he would only disappear, as it doesn't have the independent action skill. The servant who was severed from his master's mana supply cannot continue to maintain his body, and will eventually disappear. Even so, in the short time left to him, the mad beast acted to fulfill his master's goals, namely the defeat of the Magus who reigns over Tokyo and is trying to perform some kind of evil ritual. The murder of Master Reiroukan and his servant. It was because he did not know magic or mysteries that the mad beast fought, according to the will of the honest young man who continued to challenge the battle with a blind sense of duty, without knowing what the Holy Grail War being initiated here in Tokyo was. I'm sure we're going to learn more about him later. And then, the catastrophe finally came tonight. Every night, the mad beast was ambushed in the black forest of the Reiroukan estate, which he continued to charge at to locate the tear in its powerful bounded fields. The heroic spirit of the sword, whom he met last night and exchanged claws and blades with, Saber, was in there and became a natural battle again. Not just that, there was a number of heroic spirits there who broke into the one-on-one clash between Saber and the mad beast, who was rampaging while squeezing the last of its power. Lancer, a long-haired woman clad in armor and armed with a huge lance. Archer, a man who hides as he fires arrows from beyond the trees. And then, there was Ryder, who appeared by flying ship. Okay, so this forest battle is the equivalent of like Zero's battle at the harbor there, where like everyone comes together, right? The big battle royale moment. The mad beast who tried to advance while smashing the black forest and while taking on Saber's blade, Lancer's lance, and an arrow that seemed to belong to Archer for the sake of achieving its goals, was only tragically burned before the fierce rain of light. While taking in the light, the mad beast thinks in his slightly remaining consciousness. This is all right. Oh, right. I freaking forgot about Jekyll and Hyde. Oh, okay. This is right. After all, I wasn't able to fight for justice with Hyde, who was guided into existence as a fragment of my ideal of evil. Although it was a Jekyll-like idea that was originally impossible, in his final moments, the beast certainly thinks with his crumbling brain. If I have regrets, there is one, just one, the heroic spirit of the sword, Saber. I completely forgot about Jekyll and Hyde. Well, they kept describing him as like a big beast, and I don't know if you've seen what Jekyll and Hyde look like in FGO. They don't look like beasts at all. They just look like dudes, no matter the form. One of them looks like Bakugo. It seems the man who was clad in sky silver couldn't respond to his desire for a one-on-one battle until the end, in the face of this deformed mind and body. Okay, so he must have like super morphed or something, maybe. The other heroic spirits in this terrifying torrent of light, noble heroic spirits said, "This is my fight. If possible, I don't want you to interfere." What a kind servant. He's not naive by any means. What he spoke of was compassion towards the mad beast. By the time he had his first rematch with Saber, the mad beast already had his heart pierced by the invisible sword, and his spirit core became remarkably weakened. Furthermore, he took on Lancer's lance through a surprise attack, Archer's arrow, and he even lost his magical path with the death of his master. What made him able to wield his claws against heroic spirits by turning into a storm of destruction while stopping without dispersing was because of his endurance, which was significantly enhanced by his madness enhancement skill, and a few other skills which he obtained from the miracle drug, which was his noble phantasm. It also depended on his self-modification, which exhibits his most optimal form, but he wasn't able to get one servant with his companion. The outcome had already been decided. Even so, the swordsman said it, one-on-one, with blade and claw. With dazzling pride, the mad beast who did not have pride nor courage, but only stupidity. In his final moments, the mad beast's claws, which were stretched towards the sky, try to prevent the attack. They seek the moon, which appeared further beyond the soaring ship. Or was he trying to respond to the noble swordsman with his claws? Either way, those claws also disappear into the light. Assassin. What a powerful, heroic spirit. On the rooftop of a high-rise condominium far overlooking the Reiroukan mansion in Suganami Ward, Tokyo, a young girl was mumbling. Or a woman was mumbling. It was a young girl. She had brown skin. Her gaze through her white mask, which mimicked a skull, was sharply fixed on the ship, which kept hurtling light from the sky. Although it was something that she didn't know about back when she was alive, the present her who manifested as a servant was able to recognize that as a solar ship, spoken of in ancient Egyptian myths. If it is a heroic spirit who can use that noble phantasm, the prospects are limited. A king who reaches the level of a god, a pharaoh. It's either that or... Among the successive generations of pharaohs from the ancient Egyptian dynasties, if they can manipulate such a powerful noble phantasm, there must be someone who left their name in history as a very powerful fighter. The strength of a servant does not solely rely on their renown, but by the ability of those who have obtained mysteries by achieving merits before their era, so they cannot be taken lightly. I have to take action, fast, she briefly mumbles. But soon after, the woman slightly shakes her head. No. She had a certain amount of impertinence. A splendid girl who was her true master. If it was for that girl who is more beautiful than a flower in bloom, she must be able to magnificently slaughter that with her inconceivable hands. Even the sun, even the moon, do not reach that girl's brilliance. She will only obey the orders of the girl who is her master. Like a short while ago. Yes, she just killed one a short moment ago. She tightly embraced the poor man who had called the mad beast a friend and shouted justice without knowing any of the specifics of the Holy Grail War. Gently, gracefully, she embraced him and rubbed lots of poison on him. Their lips locked together. Gently, lovingly, she melted all of his brains and the nerves and killed him. In fact, it was her first kill through a direct command from her master after manifestation. Therefore, she shivered and became aroused with excitement in the moment she kissed the youth. A taste of heat and sweetness that ran up her spine and up to her crown definitely must have been far higher than what the youth felt. Immediately after she killed him, it was the first time she seethed with breathlessness. For her to be taken so by her master. Everything is for my master, he mumbles again, as she scowled at the solar ship. As for the Magus who was Archer's master, she had already fallen to that girl at Mount Okutama the other day. No matter how skilled she was, no matter the heroic spirit, Archer was no longer the girl's enemy. Of the remaining 6 servants, the girl already had 3 of them, including herself. Whoa. The others left are Lancer and Caster and the heroic spirit who controls the splendor at the edge of her gaze. As she was someone who lacked direct willpower to fight, she cannot possibly rival him. She would only be burned by the light and completely vanish before she can approach him. But even so, if the words spun by her voice from the girl's pretty lips itself, she would do so without hesitation. She would approach him even if her body shatters and dies, whether it is in the sky, whether it is a fort, whether it is in a bedroom. She would draw closer to them where they were and press her lips against him. More than that, if necessary. Oh my. Lady Manaka. She speaks the girl's name. Yes. No matter what it was, if it was for that person's orders, if she would look at her with those clear eyes, if she would let her bask in dazzling radiance, whether it was the king of the soaring splendor, or the woman who hid her sorrow, or the honest Magus, or the king of knights with holy blade in hand, or even if it's a very young child, she will slaughter with these lips, fingers, skin, and body. Dang. Well, I mean, you're an assassin, you're literally a Hassan, so that would... I mean, that's kind of your MO. But a common front with the other camps. In the Holy Grail War, the 6 servants and magi are naturally enemies. They are nothing but targets to be defeated and killed. However, exceptions exist there as well. For example, let's say a temporary alliance is formed to save off exhaustion in the early battles. By cooperating with two heroic spirits, we can determine victory or defeat with our allied partner after effectively eliminating the other solo heroic spirits. It's an extraordinarily efficient method. There's no such thing as a heroic spirit who doesn't struggle against two heroic spirits, but at the same time, this method also carries a huge risk. After all, the other servants and masters are ultimately your enemies. Think of the possibility of betrayal as ever present. Be careful of getting a blade in your back. Both veteran heroic spirits and master magi are too weak and fragile if you hit them unexpectedly. No matter what you do, don't drop your guard for a second. If you decide there's an opportunity to kill them, do so without hesitation. Oh, we're back to the past. With little Misaya, who was trying to sleep. In truth, she changed into her nightgown and was lying in her bed like this. But it was no good. She couldn't sleep no matter what. She couldn't sleep tonight no matter what she did. In her room on the second floor of the main entrance, Misaya Reiroukan quietly waited for sleep's arrival, while dazedly gazing at the moonlight floating through the window. The other day, her father had naturally scolded her for entering the Black Forest, which was on their backyard, so she was prohibited from going out at night, even within the premises. Do not walk inside the main residence as much as possible. Put it bluntly, sleep quietly at night. She fully understood her own stupidity the other day, and father's words were reasonable. So Misaya tried to sleep. She wrapped herself up in a warm blanket on top of her soft sheets, but she cannot sleep. She was so wide awake that she couldn't sleep. The reason was, can't sleep. She cannot sleep. She cannot get to sleep. She has a certain reason for the awareness for it. Last night, all the events that occurred in the Black Forest. Although she could only stand by the window and look because she was forbidden to fly familiars, Misaya saw it with her two eyes. A light, shining, red hot. A glare reminiscent of the light of the sun that would never be seen at night. A torrent of light. The figure that was captured by her clairvoyance magic was definitely that man, the heroic spirit who visited the Reirukans and formed an alliance with her father, who was none other than Ryder. It must have been the noble phantasm owned by that man, the solar ship floating in the night sky, and the all-too-powerful, intense light that was brought forth from it. She even had the hallucination that she was standing in the middle of a myth from the Age of Gods. Fortunately, it was inside Castor's bounded fields that were stretched over the skies, so it probably wasn't visible to the general public. If it weren't for her magical vision, would she have been able to see the light, let alone the flying ship? Though they might have recognized it as an erratic earthquake. It seemed daunting just to think how much great magic would be needed to reproduce such a scale of destruction with magic. At the same time, she was strongly aware of it, aware to the fact that she was bearing witness to the maelstrom that is the unprecedented and even one-of-a-kind Holy Grail War and the natural tension that arises from it. And above all else, it is kind of exciting. Hopefully, she wants to believe that the latter is the greatest thing she will ever feel. She wants to believe, but she doesn't know. Last night's scene, no. The one who was more conscious about it was her father. The look on her father is what sticks to her mind and will not leave it. The war situation is not bad at all. The bounded fields woven by Castor as the center of this estate prevent servants from invading, and in fact, out of the 3 servants who attempted an all-out invasion so far, none of them have reached the main residence, for they have formed an alliance with Ryder, a powerful servant who she saw was the only one able to push through to the workshop in defiance of it. And, last night, in the battle in the Black Forest, Berserker fell before Saber's blade and vanished completely in Ryder's light. They are allied with such a powerful rider. Although it is true they will eventually face each other, Castor still saw the scene and told her, there's no need to worry. He has absolute confidence in his magic, or rather, his noble phantasm. She knew she couldn't say that she was reassured. Misaya thinks this is probably the essence of a Holy Grail War. But even so, what happened to her father after that rain of light? Her normal father was unusually dismayed to an unthinkable level. Watching him, she felt that he had lost his words for more than 2 seconds. What on earth did her father see? It bothered her. That was the greatest reason why Misaya could not sleep. No good. She just cannot sleep. Even if she closed her eyes, they immediately open. So she slipped out of bed. She put her feet into her warm slippers, which emulated the shape of a rabbit. Whoa, don't tell Nintendo. She extends her hands to the radio placed on top of her large vintage Eastern European wooden desk. To Misaya, it is an item which she sometimes touches only when she cannot sleep. Like the mages who live in the modern era, Misaya was not very good with machines, and even if she did not touch it on a daily basis, this radio that her mother gave her was different. She adjusts the frequency by turning the round parts. She understood the principle itself. In the case of AM radios, the signal which carries audio is received by the antenna by modulating it, and the audio information is reproduced by demodulating it with this radio, which is the receiver. Thereupon, the sound recorded by the radio station in metropolitan areas such as Yotsuya or Akebonobashi would echo in this room of the distant Reiroukan mansion with a slight delay. And then it should... That's strange. Which station is it, huh? She cannot hear anything. To be more precise, even as she attempted to tune the frequencies, only static reverberates. Was it broken? It's widely known in the magical world that there are many cases where mages who manipulate mysteries are not very compatible with machines brought about by civilization. It's often heard that even if they just bought them, they immediately break. Saya's not convinced of that. She intended to handle it with great care. Well, nothing I can do about it. When the Holy Grail War's over, I'll get it finished. She can just ask one of the servants to do it. Although it's a little overwhelming to ask the homunculus who is currently working as a temporary servant, she quietly thinks that she should leave it be. They are Castor's property, so it's not right to treat them as the same ones who serve the Reiroukan family, Misaya thinks. Now then, what to do? She can't get to sleep. Her eyes are completely wide awake and the radio is useless to kill time with. Whether it's scanning through magic tomes or studying school, even if she thinks about things, she doesn't feel it all. She does both when she is awake during the day, especially in terms of her school studies. They were too boring, and she has already covered what she should learn after she advances in the middle school, meaning she's already completed it. At this rate, she only needs to deal with her school subjects. No matter how much magic she learns, it is never enough for her, and she is not reluctant to perform it if it's daytime. Even though her eyes and awareness are wide awake, she is in a state where she knows that her body desires sleep, she will definitely not be able to learn, even if she opens a magic tome. That's why, after Misaya thinks for a little, she quietly approaches the door so as not to make a noise. Goes out to the hallway. Even if she was forbidden from going outside, it is not forbidden for her to, say, walk through the main interior of the main residence, and she can think of a reason for it. A reason for walking without spitting out lies. Yes, she'll go to the toilet. That is her purpose for simply walking like this, not to go outside. However, it is fun to take a little detour. As soon as she entered the hallway, her breath turned white. The air in February is still cold, especially at night. Unlike indoors, there is no floor heating in the hallway, so the warmth of her slippers were reassuring. As she walks while doing her best not to make the sound of footsteps, suddenly, Misaya looks out the window. It's probably all right, right? I have nothing to worry about, right? She mumbles inwardly. She couldn't grasp the entire current grounds, since she hadn't sent out any familiars, though the perception magic set up was literally innumerable. Already, a few hours had passed since the last battle. Even if she didn't think that someone would try to break in again, if there was someone who arrived by chance, they would immediately get noticed by Castor and her father. Countless. She grumbles with her own voice without thinking. And then, Misaya Reiroukan thinks of her own inexperience tonight as well. Countless, yes, literally, meaning. That's correct. So you've noticed. His voice rings out. So as not to notice him, Misaya turns around while exhaling a small sigh. At the end of her gaze, unsurprisingly, was a tall figure. His long, glossy hair, his thoughtful eyes, the one who appeared with a temporary body in the modern era, Castor. My eyes are everywhere on the premises, and even the hallways are no exceptions. And so, you mustn't walk at night, Misaya. You know your father is worried about you, right? They returned to her bedroom. It's not good to tell a lie, so she stubbornly claimed that she was going to the ladies' room. As a result, he waited for her in the hallway in the meantime. Although Misaya hated to say that he wasn't her servant, he had an unruffled air about him. "I'm waiting for you." It's fine, Caster. It's fine. Please stop, Caster. No. Like I said, I'm waiting for you. Now, Misaya. She lost. It was indescribably embarrassing. Indeed, it was the moment her name was called that she realized that this was a type of punishment. While accepting her resignation, she endures her embarrassment. Leaving the toilet, they walked down the hallway and returned to her bedroom thusly. Now to bed. Shall I remove those lovely slippers of yours? It's fine, I can do that much by myself. He's just embarrassing her as punishment. This is kind of funny. She quietly endures the feeling of being upset. This scene, this situation, no matter what she thinks, this is bad in his behavior. If it's as if he's watching over her until she gets to bed and closes her eyes anyway, status quo usually makes sense. From the perspective of a lady, it would be a lie to say that she didn't oppose him entering her bedroom. However, he wasn't bothered by it. Far from it. Just like a child, she can feel a hint that he is obligated to remain until he makes sure she is sleeping still. Misaya seemed to show disappointment and dissatisfaction. She will just have to quietly accept it and endure it. Oh my. Is this a modern device? Yes, it's a radio. So this is a radio. Are you interested in it? She removes her rabbit slippers while his gaze was still at the desk. Into bed she goes. While putting her bare feet under the blanket, she calls out to him. Yes, very. Any excellent technology, whatever it is, can be a reference. Ideas and inspirations can only shine with a rigorous accumulation of knowledge. He was staring at the radio with great interest. Why is he watching the radio with such interest, despite being a heroic spirit who possesses some knowledge about the modern era? Doesn't he have knowledge about radios? Or does he not know that this radio her mother gave her originally belonged to her grandmother is not even in the modern category? Or is it because it's a special type? Even if she didn't understand, she'll try more or less to put it into words. A radio, a term for an audio transmission system, reception and playback device that uses radio waves and electric signals. The purpose of its use is it for entertainment, information, and public relations? Yes, programs for entertainment, news for information transmission, and the rest is used for publicity and the advertisements of products. Oh, so it's similar to a TV then. I believe it's very similar. The difference is whether it's accompanied with film. Radio was first to be developed and TV seemed to spread after that. Oh, I see. That's very interesting. He deeply nods. She never thought that he, a legendary alchemist spoken of in legends, would be so engrossed in a conversation about a radio that everyone in modern Japan casually touches. This may not let her get to sleep all the time if they start talking about pagers. Oh my god, pagers. I'm gonna be honest, there's probably people watching this who don't even know what a pager is. That's insane. It's bad if he has time. He, how should she put it, was really good at listening. The purpose of its use, its principle, the state of its spread, trends for each generation, etc. When asking something you don't understand, she simplifies it one by one and makes the obtained information her own. He listens while comprehending it. She clearly refines her answers because it feels good to talk. Or should she say that he is worth talking to? There's certainly a desire of wanting to talk more inside Misaya. But she feels a little tired. Her eyes are heavy. The drowsiness she didn't feel until just a moment ago was closing in on her. In the moment she felt it, her consciousness slips away. Her clear thoughts collapse and she drifts off to sleep. Misaya? Huh? Yes? Thank you for tonight. Sleep now. There's no need to worry. Sure. Her eyes closed, as if they were guided by his gentle voice. Sleep with peace of mind. Your father has formed a mutual contract between masters with Ryder, who has the power to destroy my magical fortress, and that detestable saber is not thinking of bulldozing his way in for now. So, be rest assured that you can sleep. At the same time, with a whispering voice, his hand touched her. Sweet dreams. He's actually like a really good guy. Like, I'm very happy that he is legitimately Like, he looks shady as hell, and I kind of felt kind of creeped out when I first saw him in FGO, but he is, like, legitimately just a good guy. Wow. I sure hope that doesn't change as I keep reading. At the back of her neck, his left hand touching her nape. Okay, that's a little strange, actually. That's a little bit weird. Okay, I don't know about that, but... okay, okay, bud, you don't need to maybe... okay. Back of her neck, the left hand touching her nape was strangely warm. His body temperature was terribly cold the other day, but today it's different. Becoming relieved, Misaya dozes off. It's a good luck charm to help you sleep. A good luck charm. In the moment she closes her eyes, while looking up at Castor, who softly smiles at her, Misaya faintly thinks, why? Why did he describe Saber as detestable? She believed that he certainly called that Sky Silver Knight a noble heroic spirit the other day. Oh. But even so, what's the reason for changing his description of him? Right, yeah, that did happen. Oh, yeah. Interesting. About the relationship between heroic spirits. As mentioned before, the heroic spirits who participate in the Holy Grail War have exceptional personalities. The problems that can occur that have been mentioned above, but I will describe another problem here. Heroic spirit and heroic spirit. While they have a relationship other than clashing as terrifying incarnations of destruction, as a personality, if one heroic spirit obtains some attachment to another heroic spirit, the likelihood that a master will also lose control themselves is very high. Very exceptionally, there are heroic spirits who can manifest the power of the noble phantasm at their strongest by deepening their feelings of attachment for them. If they are such heroic spirits, then it is not a bad idea to magnify their feelings towards other heroic spirits with forceful means such as miracle drugs or magic. Are you literally saying that you should just give... Are they just saying, hey, you should get... Hey, you know what's a good plan for the Holy Grail War? Give them some of that mana fentanyl, you know? Okay. But there is one exception. A heroic spirit's attachment for another heroic spirit is a dangerous thing, be it love or animosity. Excessive attachment makes it difficult to form a winning battle situation. If left unchecked, the relationship with their master will easily crumble. You have an alliance with another camp, even that alliance will be jeopardized. There's only one way to deal with it. Understand your servant. Understand their accounts. Be aware of their mentality. As mentioned, there is no other way to properly deal with the problem associated with your heroic spirit's personality than to understand and build a relationship with him. Build a relationship with your heroic spirit that surpasses all attachments. Okay, good. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Okay. A prodigy. Her natural talent would be exactly that. The first-ranking seraphim of the master ranks. The owner of Saber, the #1 servant. That girl. Her name is Manaka Seijio. Even now, I think of the words that man said in the past. He's of the same generation as I, Master Reiroukan. Oh, we're in Master Reiroukan? Are we wait, are we now in the present and now we're talking, wait, okay, let's see here. Because either we are Master Reiroukan, as in like the father, or we are back in the present. Okay. He's of the same generation as I, Master Reiroukan, since we are fellow magi with... Oh no, this is the father. Since we are old bloodlines based in the same city, I had a lot of interactions with the current head of the Seijio family. Therefore, I understood. That man is not the kind of person who makes a lame joke, and he is not someone who puts on a pathetic brave act. We had interactions, though they were only conversations as magi. It was far from the friendship like the humans of this world have, though it is a fact that we have exchanged words several times about our magical research. Still, I call us closer than other magi. However, I can say that our neighbors who associate and hide their true identities as magi are much closer in that sense. In the few of our conversations, yes, I'm certain he told me, his own daughter, Manaka Seijio, that she's a genius that doesn't fit into the Seijio family lineage. The magic circuits that should have been inherited through the blood of a family lineage are currently endowed into Manaka's body, but whether that can be called the Seijio's magic circuit is doubtful. Ayaka, who was born later, certainly has the magic circuits of the family lineage itself, but everything is an exception, he said. Magic circuits, learning speed, aptitude for magic. He said that Manaka mastered it with astonishing speed, Even the kind of magic that he, her father, and the successive generations of Seijo hands had never touched. I cannot believe it so suddenly. It's not a joke, nor a bluff. He probably told it with some exaggeration. It is true that Manaka Seijo may be some kind of genius prodigy, but surely such a monster cannot exist. Likewise, similar to my beloved daughter Misaya, there we go, 100%, who was born filled with knowledge and with more magic circuits than me. She is nothing more than born successor with a rare talent. Stupidly, I made that judgment at that time. Yes. How stupid was I? I see. Is that right? Inside the Reiroukan residence, in the villa research room, I crack a smile. What an empty expression reflected in this glass bottle. Could I show this face to my wife and daughter? An empty smile? As, even if it is a smile, it is not one of delight. This is definitely a smile shaped by terror. It is a manifestation of terror because I recall the expression that should have been intrinsically called lovely. That something made in the form of a human being is surely a prodigy. Otherwise. Hello. It's a pleasure to meet you. Right, Uncle Reiroukan? A smile in full bloom itself. A whisper like a beautiful and pretty fairy. And that impossible something reflected in her eyes. Reminds me of that girl's smile towards me. I cowered in fear. A few days ago, the firstborn daughter of the Seijo family, that girl, which I had only seen once since the beginning of the First Holy Grail War in Tokyo. Wait, what? When did... Misaya. The night my daughter encountered Berserker and Saber, she certainly didn't seem to see Manaka Seijo. I remember the relief I had at the time. Oh, I'm so glad. It wasn't a setup, and those words were just a threat. If that person has an inferior weakness, I believe it's more efficient to target it rather than the master themselves. How about you, Uncle? Don't you agree? For example, Misaya. She's a cute girl. Losing that child would be very painful for you, wouldn't it, Uncle? Yes. That's right, it would be. I passed it off as just a threat. After all, Misaya is safe. Nothing happened. No one was hurt or killed. That girl just stated it as a ploy. No matter how much a prodigy she may be, she cannot be the perfect technique of Van Hohenheim, the legendary alchemist, Paracelsus, who materialized as a caster. Yes, I decided that night. I was relieved. Yet, why? How? When? Did she do that to Misaya, who was protected by this magical fortress? How did Seijo's daughter set me up? What am I? Some greatest magus of the Far East I am. A little girl did this to me. All by herself. Groaning, I laugh. I pace around the research room as if I'm lost. I gaze and check the various mystic codes placed here and there in my hand, throwing them to the floor in frustration and smashing them. No, this is not what I need. I have to find them. Normally, I would contact the Mage Association, every pawn shop around the world, and order every possible means, but contact with the outside is difficult. The Holy Grail War, which is supposed to be a ritual to fulfill the ambition that should bestow brilliant glory upon us, is now our biggest barrier and what hinders my actions. I can't get out of the premises as they are protected by a bounded field, and I cannot afford to let others come near here from the outside. Even if I find what I'm looking for somewhere in the world, there's no point unless I carry it into the grounds. Therefore, I look for it, within the Reiroukan mansion. Anyway, if my collection is my grandfather's legacy, then there's a chance. While believing it, I search and search. I had the doubts clearly rising within my heart. Where is it, that thing? Without that, it's pointless. I keep looking. Misaya will be done for. It's no good. It's useless, it's hopeless, just like that. Not just me, but Castor noticed it too. Traces of a curse. My daughter Misaya has traces of a curse caused by someone. Fortunately, she hasn't noticed it yet, but she's the brilliant daughter born between me and my wife. There's a possibility she will notice it by herself in the near future. It was hours ago when Castor and I noticed it. What's going on? Something happened to her during that battle when Berserker was slaughtered? No, that can't be it. It was unlikely that someone can slip past Castors in my surveillance network, but Seijo, it was that girl. Just like the incident from the other day, she slipped through the surveillance network and appeared before me. She slipped through Castor and my eyes, which were concentrated on the battle, contacted Misaya and planted a curse on her. Thinking about it, the pattern fits. I recognize that she wasn't an average talent, but that's not the case. She's a monster. She's got inside the Reiroukan mansion this magical space which has half become a different world. Not once, but twice. Magus. Is that true? While enduring the screams that were about to leak out even now, I keep searching for the fear that I didn't even feel against a servant before. Now to myself. No. It is a necessary item for Messiah. I should be able to make it in time. Is it a Philosopher's Stone? Is Bro going to try and make a Philosopher's Stone? I wonder. Please have sweet dreams. He whispers, while staring at the girl who fell asleep. He sits quietly on the edge of the bed. Reaching out his right hand, he gently touches the sleeping girl's white cheek. Messiah. He whispers her name. It is the name of the girl who sleeps with her eyelids closed. It's the name of the girl loved by her parents. It is the name of the girl who is determined to offer herself as a noble sacrifice. For a moment, he showed an expression tinged with sorrow. He didn't go against it, for he has carried out his betrayal. Oh. Huh. For he has already carried out his betrayal. So he opens his lips and talks. He dedicates his words to someone who isn't here. My master, as you've commanded, I've connected even more deeply to her. The girl, while gazing at Messiah. Yes, please feel free. Any curse can be set from a remote location at will. Oh no! For example, yes, like a radio. He continues indifferently. A responding voice does not echo. Or is it only reaching him? No. Everything in the world is yours. If it is something you have decided on, what's the... Oh no! I just read the words at the bottom. I shouldn't do that. What's the point of my feelings? He bows to the empty space. My master. Princess of the Root? What the frick? Born to rule over all things. Even the gods of the far distant past, filled with the true light of the stars, cannot hope to match your radiance. Respectfully, as if he is facing the true master he must serve. Miss Manaka Seijo. Oh my god, how do you just convince all these servants onto your side? This is insane. You're so broken. The looks on the girl and the young man are ridiculously cruel. Okay, so this is Paracelsus's perspective. My friend, my dear brethren, the descendants of the many children who have received my teachings, my beloved child who is in the land of the far east and who has brilliantly honed her magic without forsaking her studies. Even Master Reiroukan, a participant in the Holy Grail War held in the farthest city of Tokyo, my friend who devotes everything to this rigorous battle to achieve the ambition that hides within all magi, trying to devote himself literally right now. I, Paracelsus, respect you, and I also pity you, as your attempts to try and grant your earnest wish with the Grail now has no meaning. But don't be sad. Don't worry. I pray that your soul's horizons, your awareness and senses will be properly expanded somehow. That way, even if you cannot be saved, at the end of your remorse, regrets, and bitter tears, you'll obtain a reason, like me. Even if your individual or family wishes are not fulfilled, your ambitions will be fulfilled in a sense, by my beautiful, brilliant, and sweet Potnia, who is connected to the root. Okay, that's a familiar-looking word. What is Potnia? Potnia is an ancient Greek word that means mistress or lady and was used as a title for a goddess. Oh. Potnia Theron. That's a phrase that we've heard of before there. Oh no. Oh no. Bro who is obsessed with the root finds a caster or a mage who is like closer to the root, and he's like, yep, you're now my real master. Oh no. Have you betrayed me, Castor? The voice melts into the night sky. Even though the sky was filled with the brilliance of the stars and the moon in the metropolitan area, it is strangely clear, and it reminded him of the advent of something pure. Pure, clean. Is it really true? At least beauty is there. A dazzling girl in full bloom, and a tall young man who follows the girl like a shadow. No, middle-aged is more correct. His life from before he became a heroic spirit at least must have been long, as he had a long time to experience it while having a proper life, so he deserves to be called middle-aged. But his appearance is that of a graceful young man itself. His face didn't turn towards him. In the front garden of the Reiroukan estate, Castor, a servant, a heroic spirit who uses the power of myths and legends that is beyond human knowledge, turned only his gaze toward the man who's extending his left hand while shaking, towards the man who was once his master and was propping himself on the cobblestone paving while coughing up blood. Silence. Just silence. He was telling him with only gestures that he has nothing left to say to the man now. I see. Moaning voice. A red streak was flowing down from the man's mouth. Your bounded field was too perfect. Even if you were a magus from the age of gods, it would have been impossible to cross the bounded field and even run magecraft interference with Misaya. But it is possible. It was a sound of conviction. For you. It was a sound of anger. If it was inside the bounded field, it surely would have been easy for you. It was a sound of regret. There was a sound of despair in there. Castor didn't react towards the words of the man, Master Reiroukan, who was once his master and whom he once called friend. Not even a slight glance towards the girl who smiles while bathed in moonlight and starlight. Quietly, he tells her while respectfully bowing his head, Miss Manaka Seijo, continuing from Berserker the other day, I'm sure we will kill another servant tonight. 2, if the situation rightly changes. Yes, that's true. Everything will go as you desire. Yes. Still, you look dissatisfied. Is it the annihilation of the Okutama clan? If you ask anything of me, I, Van Hohenheim, will do my best to live up to your expectations of me. Do not forget, you are the only one who can get on par with the world. Whoa. No, it's okay. Only me and that child will go to Okutama. As you wish. They exchanged their words coolly. It was a terrifying subject. The man who endured pain and tried to get up from the cobblestones clearly understood the meaning of their conversation, meaning the annihilation of the Magus, who is the master of that powerful rider servant and his clan. Even if it is far from the temple class, the magical workshop in Mount Okutama that was woven by dozens of magi is powerful. It was reckless for 2 people to get in there and even speak of annihilating it. No, it is not reckless. Thus, she will definitely invade the workshop and which can be called a temple. Still, she had plenty of leeway. A monster. Those 2 characters passed through the man's mind. No good. A girl who tries to smile alongside Castor as servant and heroic spirit cannot be killed by herself. An overwhelming existence. What should be called an undeniable prodigy, however, the words that come to his are still monster. Why? That talent of hers is certainly excellent. He's already vigilantly aware that she is terrifying. However, the great Magus, who mastered the 4 great magics and even attained the Philosopher's Stone, Van Hohenheim, the great Paracelsus who reached a level of heroic spirit, now serves her? No matter how much of a prodigy she is definitely human. There's no way that she could perform a feat like making a servant submit to her. If that's the case, then, as before, strong suspicion comes to mind. Why? You. Why are you submitting to that girl? You who called me friend. You, Master Paracelsus, I was supposed to walk together with you. If we became like-minded magi, we will certainly have a connection unlike the other servants. There is. He believed so. The words brought forth from his lips were always full of wisdom, but at the same time even full of compassion for people. He was convinced that the personality that many magi say is precious for the much of humanity Should be abandoned during the training is indeed appropriate to be in line with a heroic spirit, the end of heroes and great men in history and myths, but as a simple fact, I put a curse on Misaya, his beloved daughter. It is deeper, darker, and no longer repairable than when he first detected it. Exactly when did he do it? Answer me, Caster! No reply. Even as this man, Master Reiroukan, shouted at him, there was only the silence of the night. Was he no longer the young man who once called him master? Instead, it was the girl who whispered at him, gently, kindly, weaving a mischievous sound in there somewhere, towards the man who cannot move with his knees still stuck. Uncle Reiroukan, you don't have to be so afraid of me. She was a beautiful girl, a girl who was inside a blooming flower garden in the dead of night. The Holy Grail War, where 7 people and servants kill each other with magic and magi and heroic spirits. Such blood-soaked danger and brutality are in a terribly distant world, just peeking into here from a paradise filled with only gentleness and smiles. It makes him think of such an illusion. A girl, radiance, princess. She was in existence like those. Messaket, the very scary sphinx of Abu El Hol, with so many noble phantasms and the supposedly invincible rider. Do you not understand what's going on here? She's smiling gently. My saber is fighting in the Tokyo Bay, with Archer and Lancer as extras. Maybe Ryder will beat the 3 of them. She's smiling. She narrows her eyes. So buck up. You haven't lost your friend Castor yet. He's still manifesting by just getting along with me a little. She's smiling, like she's enjoying something from the bottom of her heart. For what? Is it her superiority? A man who has his knees stuck to the stone pavement and only looks at her without the power to stand up would not know. He never realizes that the girl is purely enjoying everything she does to exhaust her hand for the sake of someone she loves. He just feels that there, behind her sparkling eyes, which takes in the radiance of the stars and moon, is an endless abyss. Your friend, Castor, although he's helping me out tonight, he's not that bad. Thanks to him, my precious saber can wield his sword, even within that Remisium Tenturis that Ryder has dispatched. Is he really that precious? After all, that sword is an honor and it can even transcend time. Yes, the girl said. She hums a song. Is it the song of a fairy dancing in the garden with the moonlight pouring down on her? Is it the song of the Holy One who blesses the Holy Grail War? Or is it the prophecy of Potentia Theron? Hey, we saw that there on Google. The Potentia Theron of the End, and welcomes something which comes from the abyss. Okay, so which servant's noble phantasm was Potentia Theron? That looks so familiar. Potentia Theron, FGO. It is... Why does that look familiar? Oh, that's the Earth Mother Goddess one. Okay. So this is the one used by Tiamat, Ishtar, Ashtart, Gaia, Hera, Artemis, Aphrodite, Demeter, Athena. And BB is the one who has that. Yes. Okay. That's the one BB has. Right. That's where it's from. I was like, that looks familiar, but I don't remember who it's from. Interesting. Past, present, and future. She giggles, while mixing in a faint laughter. It transcends all time. An unfulfilled dream for many people, including myself, the shape of the exalted glory. Round and round, while dancing like a large flower, is the shining sword wielded by the invincible king, a drop of starlight. She twirls. She laughs, turns, and holds her left hand up high. I'm sure it's beautiful. How his sword will slice through the Tokyo night. That's why I must end this quickly. Otherwise, I might not be able to see the light properly from here, or deep in the mountains of Okutama, which are far from the sea. As she says that, the girl teasingly closes her right eye. Does she understand? Her gestures to convey something unexpected. He doesn't know. He can't keep thinking. He was already at his limit. Ugh. The man's moans, as if he is triggered by the girl's gestures. A red spills down onto the front garden stone paving. The sound of water echoes with a splash. His field of vision was shaking violently. The sudden damage he received to his body, which he cannot grasp, he can immediately grasp it from the sharp pain in his whole body. It is not due to any attack. The damage and pain are all being generated from inside himself. Even if he can desperately suppress its progress with magical treatment, he's at its limits. That is the result of this. The man does not know the exact situation concerning the fierce battle that is now taking place at the Great Temple Complex, which has appeared on top of Tokyo Bay, the domain which exists as reality marble, which does not allow magical hyperopia or clairvoyance through it and prevents familiars from infiltrating it. But one fact sternly exists. At the time of the decisive battle, the fact that Castor certainly betrayed Ryder in the middle of carrying out a life-or-death struggle against the three knights of Archer, Lancer, Saber, and Ryder, who is proprietor of the Great Temple Complex. In other words, Castor, a male servant, betrayed his partner, whom he formed an alliance with through contract magic. It is a breach of the contract. As long as they have signed a Self-Gia scroll, a magical contract with a blood seal, if they break a contract, they will receive a suitable punishment. Specifically, the magic crest within his body will injure the man like this. The thick blood vessels which are rising up from his neck and temple are dangerously swelling and pulsating. He will only die if he breaks an alliance that constructs a partnership until they become the last two servants. Because it is such a contract, such a geas, the magic crest will automatically destroy their bodies. There's only one way to stop it. That is to immediately stop the action that befits the trail. Castor, I command my friend with a master degree, the man shouts. He is strongly aware of the existence of master degrees. He no longer has any choice but to forcibly compel Castor, who is supposed to be his servant, by utilizing a master degree. He will stop any act of treachery against Ryder right now. And then, with his remaining master degrees, he will make him break the curse which is placed on his beloved daughter and eliminate the girl who is the equivalent of a monster. Providing that, the order of execution is reversed. First, he will kill the girl who is the greatest obstacle and even becoming a problem for him. Next, he will save his daughter Misaya. He may save the suspension of his double-crossed for last. To kill Manaka said... If he uses up all his master degrees, he will not be able to win the Holy Grail War. Even so, the man decides he doesn't care. Here, now in this moment, it's time to use his master degree. He knew that his skeleton and internal organs are whittling down, is the effect of the contract magic. An ordinary person cannot stand the sensation of their insides getting devoured. The man accepts with astonishment that he had the force of will to continue his words and endure it. He will endure it. Just one word left. Kill her. All I have to do is mention it. If Castor unleashes the true name of the noble phantasm, even a servant would be sent flying. No matter what kind of natural talent she has, without cause, she is one girl who is just a human being after all. Her laughter. It's like the ringing of a bell. The girl's eyes were peering into the man from point-blank range. What the hell? When did she approach me? She should have been at a distance. There's no sign she used magic. However, there's the girl in front of his eyes, just a few centimeters away. The man's words completely stop, as if being pierced by the gaze directed from her clear eyes. His tongue doesn't move. It is not his tongue that does not move. His hands, his feet, everything in his body cannot move. Give up, Uncle. Please, officially give Castor to me. There are other things I'd like Mr. Paracelsus to do for me. You gotta be kidding me. He tells her with words by moving his tongue at his lips, which cannot move. At the same time, a lot of blood spills from his oral cavity, clogging his breathing, which is already thinning. Maybe it's due to the effects of the contract magic. Maybe it's because he's defying the girl's gaze. Either way, it was his extraordinary strength of will that made him emit a voice in this situation. How does a pretty girl respond in the face of that tenacity and vigor? Will she pity him? Will she be sad for him? Will she respond to that feeling with sympathy? In that case, I see then, in that case. She was smiling. She was reminding him of the flowers themselves in full bloom. I'll create a weakness to make you give in. It's already half done, so I'll finish it off right now. She was smiling, while filling her words, lips, and eyes with the beauty of innocence. Actually, I was thinking of doing this first. She was smiling, magnificent like flowers, innocent like an angel. About the estrangement of a servant. The heroic spirits who are manifested by the Holy Grail are essentially the power of the Magus, who is their master, an indispensable being for executing the magic ritual called the Holy Grail War, a useful weapon for winning in the mutual slaughter. But sometimes they can be separated from their master, most likely due to disagreement of their goals. For example, let's say a master who wishes for the termination of being A and the servant who wishes to save being A are incompatible. It is inevitable that their paths will someday split. Mismatched personalities. Due to their personality, a heroic spirit may not acknowledge a magus as their master. There's also a possibility that a magus will transfer their master's rights to another person for one reason or another. If a magus consents, things will go reasonably well, but it is more than likely that this will be done through forcible methods such as intimidation or torture. There are not many workarounds. If there is a disagreement in goals, there is no choice but to compel them by using a master degree. There's a disagreement in personalities. There's no choice but to carefully build a relationship with them. And one should consider that there is no other way besides to take great care and personal attention to thwart the defector seizure. Forced transfer. Don't create a weakness. Protect it if it exists. That cannot be granted, there is no other way than to discard it. Of course, once you discard it, then it cannot be called a weakness. Okay, the weakness is the child, right? Let's see. Okay. I'm sure this is a dream. I, Messiah Reiroukan, am quietly aware that it is one. Although it was a little surprising, I could see and feel all of the things around me. It was a fluffy place, fluffy and glittering. Stars are twinkling here and there in this space comprised of various colors. Star. When I see it as a starship that is too abstract, I seem to show off my childishness. It's the inside of my dream, after all. A dream. Current psychology, which began with Mesmer and evolved over the years, gave us an interpretation of dreams. It is a bit of an exaggeration to say that only a small part of it is related to magic, but in reality, attempts to explain movements of the mind have existed since the distant past in the history of magic. I still cannot completely say I'm proficient at mental manipulation magic. Still, to some extent, I can instantly realize that I am inside a dream. In the Holy Grail War, masters and servants sometimes dream of each other's memories due to the structure which is connected by a magical path. After hearing that, I was a little conscious of my dreams. I don't need to be conscious of it since I'm not a participant in the Holy Grail War. But still, can't help imagining if I were a master. Anyway, I quietly grasp my situation. I don't maintain the permanence of my memories very much. I can vaguely remember what I was doing before I fell asleep. At the height of the Holy Grail War, I comprehended for the time being the Battle of the Servants that occurred in the backyard forest, the day when the night shone with splendor released by Ryder. How many days ago was that? 2, 3, I can't really remember. Can't be helped. After all, this is all a dream. Here's the inside of a dream. I wonder if that's the sky. Yeah, it probably is. I'm floating. Am I flying in the sky? I think the sensation of swimming is relatively closer than, say, flying. Though to be precise, I don't have the resistance to swim in the water. A fluffy and glittering place where you can freely swim in the wind and fly in the sky, as if it is somewhere like a child's dream itself. I'm in that kind of space. I was floating. I was flying. To be honest, I feel comfortable. Still, there are some inconveniences. Perhaps because my surroundings and myself are fluffy, it's hard to determine my view. It's also a strange feeling to be floating in the air. The lack of feeling of stepping with my feet is strangely lonely, though not enough to overturn the comfort of floating. And yet there is nothing that I feel on my skin. I quickly realized I don't feel my sense of touch. I'm sure I won't feel pain even if I were to pinch my skin. Sky. I'm in the sea. Or on top of the sky. The twinkling abstract stars. I also think that my slumber might be a place like this if the space is left as is. And then, good afternoon. Someone's voice. Who does it belong to? It was a voice I knew. There was someone's smile. No, my consciousness was vaguely associated with it. Somewhere in this space there must be someone who brought the voice and someone who was smiling. I don't know. It's like a haze. I swim there, which is filled with various colors. Fly. I can move by just thinking it. It's a fresh feeling to me who hasn't mastered flight magic, and although it still has a certain comfort to it, something is different. It's not bad being able to freely move up, down, left, and right. Literally like a night stream with her. Still, it makes me uncomfortable to be undecided at all. I wonder why I can't wake up quickly. As I think it, I've already traveled a considerable distance. It's endless. It seems like this space continues forever. If there's a dead end, what form will it take? Softly the haze. Something was in front of me. Someone was floating in there. It's like they were dancing gracefully in the fluffy space, much more freely than I do. Good evening. It was a girl. She looks a little older than me. Who is she, I wonder? Long time no see, Misaya. She called my name, as if it truly is a matter of course. Does this girl know me? Do I know this girl? I wonder who it is. I had a glimpse of some vague memories. Memories from my childhood. A park or garden for some reason. It's like I met her before one day in a lovely I think it's supposed to be rampart, with green trees and flowers. You were a few years older than me. We'd met once before, right? Yes, but it feels weird. She doesn't look any different from those days. Was this a dream? Is that true? You've gotten big. You're very cute. Your nightgown and rabbit slippers look great on you. I believe her name is... You see, today I'm going to make friends with you. There was a bright smile. A beautiful person is smiling gently at me, like a fairy in a Celtic legend, or a princess in a fairy tale or picture book. I was nodding unconsciously. I nodded as I stared at her brilliant smile within the fluffy, unreal, and glittering space. I never thought I should nod in the slightest. I believed in that person from that time. After all, she says she's my friend. Even my father, whose face is getting paler day by day. I may be able to consult her about it. Okay. I think we're going to call it here. We're at about page 124 of 176, which means that we are approaching the end of the second volume. Next time will be the finale of volume 2. I will say, I don't know, last time I ended a bit early because I was actually like dying. Like for some reason I was super tired, and like by the end I was kind of nodding off. This time, I don't know, the writing just felt so much better, and like it was super interesting this whole time, so I enjoyed this one a lot more. We will finish up the second volume though here next time, guys, and we'll move on to the third one right after that. No break. You're hearing that here first. We will continue right away. So thank you all for watching, everyone. We'll be finishing up volume 2 next time. We'll see you then, guys. Ciao.
Yo.